Welcome, sellers, to another War Room operation. This one's a little overdue. I've been busy doing other stuff, but we've reached it. I've tried to start a couple times. It's just too late in the evening. I didn't want to just kind of blah through it. You may think I've blah through this one. But anyway, I just want to give you sort of like a summary of what was going on. Normally, I do the operations, the war rooms, in one video. Most of those are either starter kit ones. The starter kit ones can move a lot quicker because there's less moving parts. And so therefore, it's easier to talk about different things. You know, you don't have to worry about, a whole rule book worth of rules that you have to explain or incorporate or take into consideration. So given that, I found myself halfway through the scenario, which is where I am right now. It's like, this is going kind of long. There's no way in hell I'm going to make this into one video. It's just really super, super, super long. So I don't like to, but because I stopped during the turns and kind of stop and essentially kind of try to verbalize what my actions are for that particular side that I'm playing, in this case, the Italians and the partisans, things to take into consideration, potential moves by the enemy, options by the enemy, potential first fires, things like that. Will he do this? Will he do that? Taking the most basic possibilities in terms of opportunities that the enemy has and considering those options and going forward. During the game, you'll see that I've kind of thought of a particular plan of action, but based upon the other enemy's moves, that particular plan of action changes. So that's happened at least 3 or 4 times during the game so far, and that's only like turn 4. I think I'm done with turn 4. But what I'll do is I'm going to do a full turn. It's going to give my full thoughts. This first video will give, I think, sort of like refresh of what the previous game, what the tactics are in terms of things. Hopefully it's not a complete duplication. I don't really think it is. But I'll show you like avenues of attack, things like that, things to consider. You'll see that. So hit the double speed. Double speed or 1.5 speed usually works. Depends on how fast I'm speaking. In this particular game, I think double speed is good. 1.75 at least, right? So it'll make it go faster. Instead of like an hour and 10-minute video, it'd be like a 35-minute video. And if it's too fast, you simply slow it down. I mean, it's simple as that. So again, a quote, simple scenario, things that I plan to do, things that I planned have happened, may or may not happen. At that point, you need to reevaluate your plan. One thing I do note, and then I'll let you go, and then the game will start. I think I screwed up the entrenchment royal in the beginning. Again, you cannot be in an entrenchment and then try to entrench. So you have to be outside of the entrenchment or foxhole in this case. You have to be outside the foxhole to dig a foxhole. So, and the scenario special rules say that if the units set up in certain areas, they may set up in foxholes. And so initially, I don't think it changed too much per se, because I think I got my foxholes either on the first roll or not at all. So the first hole simply would have been on the second turn. You guys evaluate that, see how screwed up it would be. I haven't really completely evaluated it yet, but it is a mistake. You need to be outside the foxhole, which means turn 1, the Italians would have to come out of the foxhole and then move to a different location. Turn 2, essentially they'd get 1 roll, and then turn 3, the partisans come on. So you'll see that as you watch the videos, look for that sort of mistake that I make and kind of take it and say, oh, I don't want to screw that up when I play the game. I don't want to screw that up like Stu did. So take that into consideration. It's a big part of my defense, and I don't want it to give the Italians too much of an advantage. To be honest with you, the partisans occupy one of the entrenchments pretty early. So that actually didn't even help me. But just want to note that. I don't think I noted it in the game. And again, throughout the game, I stop, pause, look up rule sections. I pause the video, of course. Look up rule sections, read those particular rules. to clarify. And this is exactly how long it should take you guys to clarify rules. You want the rules to be clarified, not learn them. You do not learn the rules during the game. You clarify it. So again, abandoning or reoccupying a vehicle. You've read those rules beforehand. And then, when you're in the game, say, shit. Oh, I remember said something about hazardous movement or half MF or some shit like that. And then you reference the rule because you know what the rule is. And then you simply go over the rule and you're done in like 1 to 2 minutes. Period. Not 10 minutes. If you've gone 10 minutes, you haven't read the rule. There are some instances, if you're going within 4 or 5 different rule sections, you're trying to splice it together, that's fine. That's a rules dive. That's a normal rules dive. But you're not learning the basis of the rule during the game. That's what you want to avoid. The problem is, that means you need to do your reading. You got to do your homework on this, guys. There's no half-assing ASL. You can, but you're not really playing ASL at that point, because the decision making, again, line of sight checks. I mentioned this in the others. I think I hammered line of sight checks at the beginning of this scenario. You got to know it. The hell with the Valzel line of sight tool. Know your line of sights so you can set up your defenses accordingly. Again, if you misinterpret what that building is, if you think that building's a level 2 building, and then you put the guy in the steeple and you think he's on level 3, you're wrong. And the problem is that level 3 location makes it easier to see over blind hexes. And you'll see at the beginning of the game, that makes a whole shitload of difference. So know your rules beforehand. Your basic, fundamental ASL rules. Line of sight is one of them. Yeah, you can screw them up every once in a while. But you gotta learn from them. Go back and read them. Go back. I always read hill rules. I read the hill rules all the time. Is this a hard hindrance? Is this a soft hindrance? Oh, crest line blockages. I simply, every once in a while, read B.1 and read that section, or B10.1 or whatever the hell it is. And I read that section about once every 3 or 4 scenarios. Every single time to rehash it. It's a simple read. Buy an electronic rule book. Get your pocket rule book out. You probably got 4 different copies of it, 4 different versions. And just scan those little sections. You don't have to read the whole rule book. Say, I think I screwed up motorcycles last game. Let me read that 1 page of rules on motorcycles. Do over again. And you'll catch one thing. Right? Next time you read it, you'll catch something else. And you go back to fire lanes. Oh, shit. He can't fauna protect the fire. Boom. Okay, that's something else I learned. Simple as that. That's how you learn the rulebook. You don't learn the rulebook by A to B, A to Z. And I got it. Let's go. Let's go play. It's a basis. Check up on the rules. Read your chapter H. Is, again, another mistake I made, which you let me know. You point out the other mistakes I made during the game. It has to do with machine guns in range. All right? And it happens fairly early. So look for those. I told you one clue. Look for those. It's a mistake I made, and it could be critical in your games because it makes a difference of how effective your range is. And one attack can make or break the difference in a game. I don't care how big or small the game is. If that's a 10-3 leader way in the back and I happen to get a lucky shot on him for whatever reason, I forgot that I can't fire that far, then that's a big difference. That's kind of the fundamental difference. It's an incorrect application of the rules. Not necessarily a misinterpretation of the rules. It's an incorrect application. Slight difference. Anyway, enough of me babbling. Enjoy turn 1 here. The next one will be turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. They're about an hour long so far. Later on, it might be going faster because the combat, the defensive firearm, it's going to be a lot quicker. Everyone's going to be closer. So fewer real, maybe key decision making. Anyway, enjoy the game. Welcome back. It's been a while, and hope to kick some more. Again, you'll get a number of these different scenarios, but each one is not just going through my moves. I don't just go through my moves. You'll see everything. It's on Tactical Tabletop Simulator. You'll get to see all the concealed units. It's not nothing's hidden by there. The concealments are smaller. Everything should be easily viewed on the Tabletop Simulator. And perspectives change on a per side basis to hopefully make it more entertaining for you guys to watch and enjoy, especially when I'm just talking about the game. Lots of rules dives, and most of these rule dives, when I pause the video, you don't notice it, but when I pause the video, come back, it's no more than 2 minutes where I click on my rule book and look through the rules, say, okay, can't do that, or okay, that applies, and boom, 2 minutes. That's it. Just to clarify. Just to clarify. Not to learn, but to clarify. All right. All right, guys. Go at them. Double speed, 1.75 speed, whatever. And enjoy the stuff. And leave your likes and comments down below. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Create a false account. Subscribe with that one in case you don't want your main one being identified as a, subscriber to Stu's Ray Plays or whatever. Idiot. I don't want anybody to know that I watch this shit. So, check it out. Hit the likes, all that good stuff. Keeps us near the top or somewhere in the mix. Simply because my channel's not ASL, it doesn't really show up for whatever reason. But that's YouTube. That's how I don't do advertising, as you guys may have noticed. I don't do any advertising anymore. As soon as I cut off my advertising, all my shit disappeared. So, don't really care. Hopefully you guys, subscribers, will find my stuff sooner. And so that's the benefit of subscribing. It pops up. Hey, Stu's got a red dot next to his name. Let me see what type of shitty video he's got today. All right? Take it easy. And after you watch the scenario, kick it out and play it with your buddy and see how you go on a per turn basis and say, hey, this is turn 1 with my buddy. And then you watch turn 2 for Stu, or you play turn 2 and you see how far Stu gets on his turn 2. And you say, oh, that guy sucks. Much further I'm kicking the Italian's ass. Or vice versa, I'm kicking the Partisan's ass. Stu doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That's what I want you guys to do. Take what I give you, and then hopefully learn a couple things, incorporate them in your game, or completely kick it out. Say, this is irrelevant. Don't care. That's the wrong thing for him to do. This is far more superior. Put that shit down below. Other people read this lot, maybe a couple hundred people watch this. They want to read the comments. If there's like 15 comments, they'll read through the comments. They want to know what you know, not what I know. They want to know what you know. So that's the important part, is your contribution. All right? Take it easy, and we'll see you at the end. All right, ASLers, welcome back. We are finally getting to the Men of the Mountains. Hollow Legions, thick card, quick, simple scenario, but yet not so simple. We're going to go over a couple things that the Partisans have to look for, and the Italians have to look for especially. Getting my setup, which was slightly different from the introduction video on how to approach the game. I'll go over exactly what to expect, what to look out for, ask you a couple questions. Hopefully you'll be able to answer them, and go for that. What you can do is, if I ask you a couple questions, you can just pause the video, input your answer at the time sequence. Time sequence, say if it's at minute 15:32, put 15:32. And then you could put, I think the Partisans should attack to the left side, or some bullshit like that. So do your timestamps that way so that other viewers can follow along what you're looking at. And also, other people can compare their answers. So there's not going to be a ton of comments, but the more comments like that will precipitate other comments that will hopefully include, some interaction. So that's what we're looking for. Hollow Legions, again, wonderful module. Great change, great variation from the bullshit rickamaroo of block-to-block fighting and downtown Berlin, downtown New York City, wherever you want to fight. Same old bullshit. These are much more interesting scenarios. I think overall, your variety of scenarios is present. So if you don't like doing one thing, just skip those and go to another. There's not really a themed module. But the Italians are always a challenge and always a fun to play. So, all right. So with that, let's go take a look at our map. And I've got a couple things. I think I've got the full setup. Hopefully this is the right save file. I've got the full setup. So let's go take a look at what the hell is going on. All right, we're over here at the map. Here's my general setup. I might make a couple more changes, but I'll just say what the hell. Let's go for it. Again, with TTS, you've got multiplicitous options that you can use. I use Vassal in tandem with TTS to arrive at the final product that we see here. Create the map. Again, you see the map extension on the left-hand side for troops coming on instead of some stupid, grid line. Actually put some terrain over there. And just any board, any old board will do pretty much. That might be board 1 or some, I don't know, some original board. And that way you can just set your guys up. I don't have a lot of guys to set up, so it's pretty easy to do. And it looks better than a grid. I don't want to put a grid on there. It looks dumb. Anyway, import your Vassal images over here. Easy to create, easy to work. And, I've got my stack of units, stack of counters up in here. That's my pool of counters that you'd have your counter tray with. Turn record chart, scenario card. To hit table, probably don't need to use it that much in this particular scenario. Terrain chart, actually a wonderful terrain chart. You could actually see everything instead of having to pull up a chart in Vassal, something like that. It's the same thing, this is the official chart. Great information. You can see everything at once. Read all the notes. I love the chapter B charts. Backside, you've got the dice roll summaries. A little blurry, but it's not too bad. It has to be stretched out a little bit. I'm not sure that it needed to be. I just think the dimensions needed to be cut down a little bit. But anyway, nice little summaries. Again, just like your regular charts. Probably won't be using this one that much. So that's it. All right, another thing I did just in like literally less than a minute. I created Neil Euland's card for Neil Euland's charts. I love his IFT chart. Images are great. Color is perfect. Just a joy to actually use. I don't even care if I lose a scenario, which I do quite often. But with this particular chart, again, it's not as clear as the one you would print out. It's just a grandiose chart to use. He's got all the information on it. It just looks better. And then on the back side of this is this close combat table. If you need it, it's got some of the modifications. It's a little blurry, but that's only simply because this has to be blown up a little bit on the card. So I might see about increasing, bettering that resolution later on, but it's good enough now. I can read it for now. Again, just going to be my IFT table chart. I will be using live dice, and I'll get the little dice cam out for that. So the Italian, let's go over the Italians. My finalized defensive setup for the Italians. Take it from their viewpoint. I've got all the Italian counters pointed this way. Again, what we covered before, like the mortar over here, he's going to be covering the woods, all the woods areas, and maybe a couple back areas over here, which probably are not going to be exposed. Because if you're the partisan player, you're not going to expose yourself like that. Anyway, he's got the simple approaches here. I've got a unit over here. Say, Stu, that's a real stupid spot for a guy to be entrenched at. Well, not really. He serves dual purpose. Primarily, I'm going to move the 3.46 and 2 firepower machine gun right here into that foxhole. That way, again, you see the mortar here. I've got no back defense. If the partisan comes this way on turn 1 or turn 3, I think turn 3, the first turn he comes in, I've got nobody defending. So if I stick this unit back here, he could fire lane back here. It also hit any units. He's got LOS to this location, all these locations are the normal range. Those are all 2-2, 2 even shots. And he's going to be in a essentially wooden building within a foxhole entrenchment. He really can't use that one against me, entrenchment against me. And it also defends against this particular side over here. If the partisans get in this building where he is presently, that's a losing situation because it's a +3 terrain effect modifier. The partisan will be firing 8. I'll be firing 4. So at that point, you would vacate that and move back up on the hill. Again, The partisans can't quite use that effectively on their objective. They could use it against these hexes here, but that's just what we're going to have to give up. I don't necessarily want to put a guy up on the hill here. I mean, I guess I could do that, but then my fire lane wouldn't be as effective. I'd fire at one spot, and then he'd move another unit away. So that's the whole point in that. Again, the same thing with this unit right here. The purpose of this unit here is to generate a location where I could put a machine gun, potentially this LMG over here, or the LMG in town, or even the medium. Put it here, fire lane that way, or fire lane this way. The two approaches that the attack or the partisans are going to approach. Point blank range. If the partisan gets up here, we've got the tank, other units that could fire on open ground hexes before he obtains the foxhole, and we've got point blank fire from the artillery piece. So that's a decent spot. Unfortunately, if he breaks, he'll have to route up here. So essentially, I'd have to get. I think you're screwed if you're broken here in routing. So maybe I'll move him. I need the fire lane. I want the fire lane. And so that's the whole point there. This unit over here, I could set him up at a foxhole, and I may do that anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Problem is if the partisan gets here with its LMGs, it is within 6 hexes of this location. So he could get a 6+2 shot on me. Don't really like that. That makes it only a 5 for morale check. It's pretty easy enough to do. So I don't really want to give him that cover. Plus, it's easy to obtain once he comes over in this area. It's easy to obtain that position, right? If the position were here in I-7, then he'd have to at least get an open ground shot. So I decided not to put this unit in an entrenchment. So, and I could only put 4 guys outside building hex. So gun again back there. This probably isn't the best setup. Again, it is what it is. Units up in the front. These units are just to defend or slow the units down from getting the open ground. A weak ass fire lane down through here stops units from crossing over to here, at least from these locations on turn 2. This is just to protect the fire lane's flank. Medium machine gun will probably only get 1 shot. Most likely be taken on somebody on the hill. That's why the 3-4-6 is on first level here. Right, he could fire at either this location might be in line of sight. This is a -2 shot. That's blocked. That's open. And he might have line of sight over here. That looks clear. That's going to be super close. But U9 might be super clear. This 8 firepower is just... It's essentially 8 firepower to this location here. So if he moves in that location, I could fire and then just get out of the area. It's not going to be to defend anything. These are 1 shot and remove yourself from the area locations. So he can't freely go across here. It might occupy the bottom level here and run away later. That's why the 7-0's there. 1-3-6. I'm not really sure what the hell he's for. Oh, he's sniper bait. This guy's sniper bait from the 8-1. Sniper 3 is not terrible. And he has to set up within 6 hexes of, enemy units. So you've got tank, you've got the artillery piece down here, and you've got 2 leaders. Again, you see where the sniper's located. He's in direct line with 2 leaders. So initially, that might not be such a bad thing, so you don't have to go left or right. I don't know anything that makes that much difference, but it can. Because if he goes straight, he may land on it, whereas if he's off kilter like this, he may land here, and there may be a choice of sniper target at that point. So if he lands directly on him, he gets to shoot. So that's the whole idea of that. Don't really see that going to be effective. So, but that's it for the Italians. Again, this 410 machine gun can fire on a couple guys come across here. And again, crossing units here might get a 4-2 shot. And then these guys also are protecting that flank. If we get a 4-2, leaves residual. These 2 squads firing here leaves residual, and then a fire lane could leave also residual. Also, this machine gun could go here and drop a fire lane on these hexes here. So that fire lane, is going to be going through that location. Let me make that bigger. So we got some residual firepower and then that fire lane right there. That's why this is here, to get a first shot. Sorry. To get a first shot and then drop back, fire lane on turn 2 or 3, and then just leave. Damn it. Pick it up. Oh, sorry. Boom, grab. One target. So that's the whole point about that. Again, and again, if these units move back here, any partisans entering these locations, we could just take wall advantage. That way they won't get a +2 over here. And that is, you know, that's a 12 firepower, and the subsequent first fire 6 +1 +2 effective, even with the fire lane dropping down. So that's what you're looking at there. And again, this 346 to protect the LMG's fire lane unit, because he can't subsequent first fire if he drops a fire lane. So that's why he's here. Get a cheap shot here, here, maybe here, maybe on level 2. I can't even see that, but that's all. It's just a safe spot to deter him from going this way. Maybe the partisan will go this way. Might make it slow going. So we'll see what happens there. I move the tank from this location or from this location to this location. Again, remember what I was saying about tanks being active early? He can be used as sort of like a medium machine gun or firepower. It can be very useful over here. I mean, I'm not doubting that. He could shoot these locations, you know, these 2 locations. A lot of good shots that this unit could take. Problem is, you have to move your crew right here into that location. So, turn 1, crew moves up to the tank. Turn 2, expends all his movement factors to enter the tank. Turn 3, can fire. So we have 2 turns. Turn 2 is a critical turn. Say, Stu, why did you move it then? If it's such a good position, why did you move it? What's the big deal? All right, let's take a look. That's when you need to pause the video. Take a look at what we have here. Spin around. You're getting dizzy. Take your medication. Look right here. That's the reason why we can't set up there. Okay. These units are going to go advance, move, and then advance on top of this hill on turn 1. Any of these locations you pick and choose. Okay. Doesn't matter which location they choose. It might make a difference from these guys over here, but both these units are going to be long range, and that's going to be a blind hex. So this spot might be, these 2 spots might be good spots for getting out of range. Probably this one here, but we don't care about that. What we care about is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do the arrow, because the arrow's cool. We're concerned with that shot there. We're strictly concerned with that shot and that shot only. What's the range? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 12 hex range. Exactly double what the LMGs are. Say, Stu, who cares? 12 hex range, they're out of range. Well, if the tank were here, and on turn 2, turn 1, the partisans are on the hill. Turn 2, we move. Or turn 1, the partisans are on the hill. Turn 1, we move up to the hill. Turn 2, they sit there, or they can hide behind the hill and then advance up on the hill so they can only get shot at in the prep fire phase. And then you enter the tank. Well, that's hazardous movement. And so entering the tank is expending all your movement factors. And I think you get shot up on it by that point. I don't think you just teleport into the tank. I might be wrong on that. I'll have to check that. But that's the purpose of me moving that back, is if I get a -2 hazardous movement shot, that's going to be a 2 -2 on my crew. So you roll a 7, that crew, which has a morale of 6, is going to break. And then the tank is essentially going to be out of it for the game, because you'd have to go rally. Your DM is going to, can't rally, probably made an L4 over here. So that means it's that turn you're routing. The turn after that, you're DM'd. You need like a 3 to rally with the leader. Okay. And then when he rallies in the partisan's turn on a maybe 8, then you have to take turn 4 or 5 to get up to the hill. And then turn 6, you enter it. Well, guess what? The partisans are going to be there by then. So if you break, you will not have that tank for the game. What you could do is you could throw this half squad in there, but you'd be subject to a boatload of penalties. So something you might not want to look forward to. And we don't want to look forward to that either. So I will double check that on the hazardous movement on that tank. We are still going to fire this direction, because if he set up this direction, he can still fire on an open ground unit, let's say in P9, Q10, and even down the road here. So we've got shots down the road, a 4-2 shot on somebody, and he might actually have LOS to P10. Don't know. That's tight. But that looks pretty clear, to be honest. So we've got these spots open. We got the other machine gun open. We've got these guys firing. This is not an open avenue of approach for the partisans. They got to go through the village, which means hopefully movement factor expenditures. It might be the same distance simply because they can bypass almost with impunity and just occupy terrain when they're done, which is fine. But then again, if that's his prerogative, then we back up. And then we conserve our entire force. These guys are still going to continue to entrench on the hill. And that way we could route whatever direction we can get to. And be done with it. So I think if you entrench up on G3, I could route the G3 directly into the foxhole and not be subject to interdiction. So we're going to have to do that. So these guys has a route path out of that shit area. Otherwise, he'll just surrender. Again, that's sort of like back up against the wall, because if you go up here broken, if you could draw a particular interdiction through that hex side, even along the hex spine, you're considered routing in open ground. And if he has an adjacent unit, you're doomed. So we're digging foxholes. We're going to dig a foxhole up here. We should have time. We should have plenty of time for that. This unit might actually, maybe send this guy, maybe go over here, depending on where the reinforcements come on. Set up an entrenchment for the dual fire lane option. They're not going to be able to stay there long, and they'll probably die sitting there. But if they slow the partisan down, that's all that's necessary to win. We don't win by having units alive. We only win by having the artillery piece not in partisan possession and still functional. Well, not functional, but still on the board. And that's simple as that. All right, so let's take a look at what the partisans are going to be trying to do in this particular scenario. All right, so here we are taking a look at the partisan side, the partisan setup. And again, as the Italian player, having this tank over here at this location in the top with a medium machine gun, that probably gives you a better field of fire than the location that it's presently at by about 3 hex rows. Considering if the Italians kind of swoop this way, it can cover there. But of course, this tank can simply just rotate its gun that direction or this direction, just pivot, and you'll be fine. And that will cover the same distance. Again, your range is 12 to 24. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's about what you're line. You're essentially going to be cutting off fire into this area, maybe a location here and down the road. So your coverage is exactly the same, but you are 100% safer in the H2 location where the tank is presently. And again, something as you need to understand as a defender, it's like, okay, I'm defending here. I'm all happy and fine about it. You have to realize where your attacker will be, which is right in this area here. I can move my LMGs, not only where he can be, but what he can manage to bring to bear upon you. Yeah, he could be here with like literally his entire OB as the partisans, but he can't fire anywhere past the middle of the board. That's the range of the partisans in the advanced fire phase. So even your units back here are immune to fire if they obtain the positions on the hill. But your number one of your primary resources is going to be sitting up here, apparently safe, but a 2-2, looking at your 2-2 shot, right? A 7 yields a normal morale check. An 8 yields a pin task check. If you're pinned, you cannot occupy the tank. Right? Check the rule. And if you're pinned or otherwise broken, you may not finish your movement phase and reoccupy the tank. You don't occupy the tank first. Excuse me. You don't occupy the tank first and then get shot, because then you're not vulnerable. You spend time climbing into the tank, and that's where the hazardous movement gets you killed. So an 8 firepower, mind you, not only if he rolls an 8, if he rolls a 1 on the colored die, which is essentially makes it a 7 at most, he's getting a morale check, and he gets another shot at 2 firepower -2. So there's a 16% chance that he will maintain rate of fire after an effective attack. So that first attack will be effective. It's not like an HMG rolling a 9, 9 -2. If an HMG were sitting up on that hill and he rolls his rate of fire of 3 and 6, nothing happens on the first shot. He can literally do that for 4 shots, your entire movement factor expenditure, and have 0 effect. That's kind of the artifact of the LMG getting a rate of fire, that he will have an effect upon those units, and he gets a free shot after that. So something you have to take into consideration. Again, you really only have to avoid it for 1 shot, but 1 fire phase rather. But once you're in the tank, you're much better off in terms of being able to maintain that tank's usefulness and availability for conflict. So again, if he breaks, he can literally just sit there and try to rally. Unlikely going to happen, because a 1+1 at long range is still always going to DM those units. So you're looking at a snake eyes to rally. It's not going to happen. We have 8 turns. It's unlikely that you will roll a snake eyes on that 1 unit in every single rally phase. So that's what you're looking at. If you want to take that chance, if you have to have that unit there, then in my opinion, if you need the tank here at this location, you need more firepower up on the hill, which means you should probably place more units, sacrificial units, here to generate greater fire charts on those particular units getting on the hill. Note, when the partisan moves, the partisan will have concealment most of the time from units out of line of sight. They'll have start the game with concealment. They will move and they will advance upon the hill with concealment. Only units at second level, which would be this unit back here, another reason to put somebody on the second level, and somebody in the steeple, will cause those units to lose concealment. Also, units back here, that's probably within range. That's going to be close, to be honest. So if you had a unit here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7. Nope. You could actually advance in open ground and not lose concealment. So only those 2 units here and here are the ones will cause concealment loss to units up on the hill, or units that particularly happen to defend up front. Again, these units' primary mission is not to destroy other units, but to break these units here in case you happen to set up that tank there. These are all defensive considerations. Know where your opponent needs to go, wants to go, or can go. Right? So that's what we're looking at. The idea here is maybe leave an opening on the side if the partisan goes to the left. If the partisan wants to come this way, he has to expend movement factors here and here, 2 and 4. He can't avoid them unless he wants to bypass here. In the building over here, he could bypass pretty much all this terrain for the most part and kind of move fluidly. Same thing in the middle. He can bypass here with fluid movement, right? Not a problem. But your units are there to prevent something like that happening. You're giving up a defense. This is essentially kind of like a pseudo defensive wall. It might cause him a movement phase or a half a movement phase of mobility. And again, he's just going to move up on top of the hill, much more vulnerable to our attacks. And therefore, you know, do we care? You know, we're setting up fire lane positions here, here, you know, and possibly on top of the hill to deal with that sort of advancement. You know, so this unit can fire down into the village, break a couple units maybe, and then move back to our foxhole. Okay, we don't need to stay up there too long. I think the partisans do have a -2 leader, or -1 leader rather. Yeah, 8 -1 over here. So let's discuss the partisans' plan of attack. I kind of split them up two in the just for the purposes of moving them in separate areas, so I don't jam them all up and avoid the power of residual firepower. These units here, centralized. Excuse me. These units centralized here. There's the 3 squads, light machine guns. Again, the potential to go up on the hill and fire on that particular lot. They're going to move through this way, bypassing, might take a couple -1 shots, and make their way to that little village area, right? Why is that effective? Why is this effective area in here? Let me try and get all these guys on the screen. Here we go. These units here, I think I'm going to make them move this way just to keep them honest. To maybe, if he doesn't deal with them, then I can use these units to deter route paths, possibly get behind or maybe reinforce with our group that's coming on turn 3. You know, that's possible. Haven't really decided where I want to be on turn 3, but those guys might be able to rejoin or at least cause more pressure. So these are sort of like, let's join up with the guys in the back as soon as possible, and let's see what type of havoc we can create. Most likely they'll be broken and out of it, but if the Italians are firing on these guys, they're not firing on our guys in the village, right? Sacrifice 2 units so 9 units can progress. These units, again, punching in through here. We've got a stone wall here, and then all +2, +3 modifiers. Once we reach the village, we're going to be protected. So that's not a problem. Demo charges, again, you can use that for units in the village. Probably unlikely, or versus the tank, or primarily breaking the gun crew if you should happen to get lucky and get close. Let's see about that. Our 5.27s are both over here. They just happen to be stacked with the 9-1 because I think we're going to move them all together. We're just going to bypass and then double time through probably up to this location. I think we might be able to advance there and then call it good. Split the 5.27s up with the 3.37s once we get close. 2 stacks, 1 5.37, 1 8 firepower, and then the other 5.37 goes to another 3.37 for another 8 firepower. Again, these guys, 6 firepower, nothing to speak at, but I'm not firing 6+3 at any building. That's pointless. I'd rather move. I'd rather make him fire, and then I can move. If I make a morale check, I could jump him in close combat, or get behind him so when he breaks, he just surrenders. Again, 9-1 leaders not probably going to be the primary guy dropping that demo. That's super late game. 9-1 is going to be rallying units. 8 firepower should be good enough. At least 2 8 firepower shots that we have here should be good enough to deal with. You know, 8+2 if he's in stone building. 8+3 again. He's got a half squad. Don't really care. I can just charge up in that building and just vanquish that unit. All the other terrain features are +2. So 8+2, 8+2, it's going to break. There's 6 morale units. It's not going to be a problem. So essentially, it'll take 2 stacks to break any sort of defensive perimeter he's got there. These units here are essentially the same sort of thing. 2 squads and an LMG is 8 firepower. And I might do the same thing with these units over here. Is 2 squads and an LMG. It might make an 8. Again, it depends on how the Italians react to my first moves. So there's your 8, 8, 8, and 8. So essentially I have 3 attacks at 8 firepower. Remember, from the scenario special rules, that you may not combine multi-location fire groups. So that's going to force the partisans to, if they want to shoot at something offensively, you've got to stack them. 2 squads only. 3 squads is not worth it. That's a third of your force in one location for him to get an easy, lucky shot. Remember, the Italians may fire multi-location fire groups. And that's huge. He's got garbage firepower, but when you're talking about units over here, 8 firepower. Right here, 8 firepower, 16 firepower, point blank. He can, if someone moves down to here, you've got 12, that's 14 firepower. So it's the same thing as, it's 12, no, 9, 10, 11 firepower. So that's garbage. So that's what we're looking at. Again, the 136, don't really know what I'm going to do with him, but I just kind of put him in the middle. He can go reinforce, pick up a medium machine gun, against sniper bait from the sniper placement here to protect our leaders to a certain extent, not much, but partisan value of a sniper of 3. I'm still free to take shots. So that's what the partisans are doing there. We're gonna have a dice cam. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I'll set up the dice cam and let me see if I can get that going, and we'll just go ahead and start this game right away. All right, so we've got our little dice cam up here. Again, this is these are precision dice from Battle School. These are the Italian dice. Actually, wonderful, very wonderful dice to roll. You've got the Italia symbol there, and the Avanti. Let's see, and the Avanti die there, which would designate a snake eyes roll. So great looking dice popping out of your dice tower. So if you're interested in something like that, you know where to find them, over at Battle School. And I think SitRep is the name of the website. So just Battle School or SitRep, it'll pop right up. And got my giant dice tower. I've got it leaned a little bit, so technically they should roll down to the end. If they don't, then that sucks. But anyway, sometimes they'll roll out, and at this angle here, it stops the brightness coming over. So hopefully they'll roll down like that. That's your typical roll. Okay. And also in this one here, since I have no smoke, there is no smoke generated from anything, wherever, I'm not going to roll for a wind change. It's freaking pointless. It only makes a difference after the vehicle is destroyed, and only if the vehicle is destroyed and is burning. At that point, I will retroactively roll all the wind dice rolls to see if the wind changed. But at that point, it makes no difference in the game. So if I should happen to roll it, say, oh, wind change, this, that, and the other, 80% of your games, it doesn't do a damn bit of good, especially mostly early war, or mostly scenarios that have a lot of non-smoke generating nationalities or vehicles. So most of the time it's pointless, and if you forget it, you're not missing much. You can need to roll snake eyes and roll a 5 or 6. So the chance of you getting it is like 0.2%. So regardless, that's what we're going. So concealment gains, the units down here, these units are in line of sight to these units up top. That's clear line of sight. The hill and the woods block any line of sight from those guys or those guys back here. They all gain concealment. These guys do not. These guys gain concealment because obviously they're way in the back. If this is a second level location right here, that's almost straight down the line, but it's far enough where it might vary. But he's not, so I'm not going to worry about it. you don't really need to check those lines of sight. Here's a concealment counter right here. I'll clone it. And I'll just put it in front of the guys that are concealed. Most likely they're going to lose concealment first turn anyway. You know, I don't have a lot of stuff to hide. You know, it's not like I got to hide out where my, LMGs, doesn't really matter where they are. He could see half of them, and he could determine where the other ones are anyway. Giant stack of units, giant stack of units. This can't be a LMG, that can't be an LMG. It's not imperative that you need concealments on everything. Vehicles is another one. You don't need concealments on vehicles unless you have like 50 different types of vehicles. Or you're parking in concealment terrain all the time, not in motion. And most guys leave their vehicles in motion and in open ground, so all you have to do is walk past them and the concealment's gone. It's pointless to you leave concealment on those. Let's swap it over to the Italian side. They get to gain concealment as well. All right, the Italians have concealed. As you see, I don't need to put a concealment over the entire counter. That defeats the purpose. I'm playing solo, obviously. Having a giant counter on it is silly, and TTS allows you to reduce the size of the counter as it has to increase the size of the map so you could actually see the terrain you're in. This facilitates view and seeing what the hell's on the board and maintaining the concept of concealment and area fire versus those particular units. So all units are concealed that are out of line of sight. Again, we don't have any OB starting, so if we had some concealments starting the OB, then we could only place those starting concealments with units in concealment terrain. And after that, the units like the 337s over here or the units up on the hill for the Italians, these guys can gain concealment because they're out of line of sight to enemy units. After both players get to sit up to the board and see what's going on. So pre-game, if I were to set up defensively, if I had OB provided concealments, these may not be concealed whatsoever in any game, unless maybe like a night scenario. But those are of course optional rules and things like that. In a basic simple game, that's what we're looking at. So if your guys got dummies, if you play opponents and you guys have dummy counters all the time, don't let them screw up and put dummies in non-concealment terrain, or start with concealment markers in open ground after he's set up and prior to your setup. That is not allowed until after both of you start, and then after you set up, and then lines of sight can then be drawn just like we did here with these units up here top to these units right here at that location. So that's what we're looking at. All right, pretty simple stuff, and we just need to keep that in mind. That's all. So let's go with the Italian rally phase. Well, not really the Italian rally phase, but the partisan rally phase. Again, wind change, not going to bother. So there is no deployment I'm going to do. I don't even think they can do it, but I'm not going to deploy. The firepower is minimal. I guess you could, technically, but, if you get captured, you might want to deploy. And you can maintain some firepower. That would be pretty good. So I think we're just going to go straight to movement phase. No prep fire, obviously. Again, these guys are concealed. This whole stack is concealed, but we'll lose it. These guys might lose it, so I'm just going to keep it next to them. So, of course, you're moving. You might want to bait a couple shots. He's going to have 2, maybe 3 shots, depending on where you move on his machine guns. And again, if you're moving units up to this hill here, let's say you want to move I want to move my units up through here and maybe to one of these positions. Do I want to move this guy first? Is he number 1? Is this guy number 1? Or are these guys moving up on the hill, even on top of the hill right here? Is he number 1? What's the best move to look at that? Well, do we give a shit? Does it make a difference in this game what order we remove the units? Of course it does. It usually always does. So if you notice, this is a medium machine gun, this is a medium machine gun. Light machine guns are exempt from this rule I'm telling you about. Both those medium machine guns can potentially have covered arc restrictions after they fire. The one in the back is not going to be so restricted. So he can freely fire. So he could fire down this way. He could fire left. He can go 360 wherever. This unit over here, let's say we move one of these units crawling down this way, and he fires here. Well, guess what? That's his covered arc. Oops. And that's the line that he can fire at. So if we moved all these units bypassing through W8, and if he should happen to have a line of sight to W8, he may not fire the medium machine gun over there, even if he has rate of fire. So if I were to move the 337 over here, and I got happy trigger finger, and I fired him first, thinking that I have a line of sight to here, or maybe here, or even in the center, then these guys will all be free to move forward to a certain extent, right? He's got another MMG in the back. So you still have to take that into consideration. This can cost you the game because of that. If I move my leader first, saying I'm just going to haul ass on my leader because I think he's got it made, you don't. These are both -1 leaders. They're all going to be 4-3 shots. 4-3, 2-3. That's crazy. Crazy results, right? So we don't want to give him that IFT capability early on in the game, especially versus our leaders. You know, not only do the leaders are powerful, they are holding the demo charges, which can cause an instant break and easy access or easy assault capabilities for the rest of our troops if they break certain units. Okay? So maybe move this unit first, or vice versa. If I do move this way and he does fire against me, creating that covered arc, then these units can freely move through W8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at that. All right, right in his face. Free shot, free move over the hill. So stuff to think about, even for the partisans and even for the Italians. So with that being said, let's I think we're just going to double time these guys here. Right here, is this a block? Is this hex that I'm going to be traversing? I want to traverse this hex versus that one probably, because the range could be potentially different. Does this unit up here have line of sight to that hex or hex side? Well, all you guys using those LS tools, you know, you got to know this before you take that shot. You know, I know it's a useful tool. You know, it provides assistance when you need it. But the problem is ASL is a game where you need to kind of know what the hell you're doing before you do it. Right? It's like chess. You got to know what's going on before you do it. Do I have a line of sight there? Is this a potential shot that I can take? If I anticipate him moving through that way, if I hold my fire from guys over here, anticipating this shot over here, and I don't know that these are blocked lines of sight, you know, again, game changer. You could possibly let these guys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 advance, get in the middle of the village by depending on a shot you never have. So, in my opinion, if you want to learn the game, if you want to get better at the game, that's just a gap in your game. You need to start learning lines of sight. It's the entire game of ASL. Starter kit, not a problem. Not a problem in starter kit. You don't need to know shit in starter kit in terms of lines of sight. They're all direct lines, right? Starter kit 3, you've got a hill, right? Actually, starter kit 3 is really not a problem with lines of sight either. Simply because if you hit an obstacle, you can't see anything on the ground level. Simple as that. So even the lines of sight in starter kit 3 MMP's done a good job in minimizing lines of sight concepts because they can get confusing at times. My opinion, both of these are out of line of sight. Why? Range. That's over 5. If it's over 5, you add another one. I don't need to know if this is 11, 12, or 13. I don't give a shit, right? This is only 2 hexes. We know that these are blind hexes. Well, not necessarily this one, but we know why one is a blind hex. This is directly behind an obstacle, right? So are these blind hexes? Well, if you just read like the first 3 sentences of the lines of sight rule, elevation effects and distance, 0 to 4, no extra blind hexes. 5 to 9, extra blind hex. 10 to 14, 2 extra blind hexes. Our weapons don't even fire that far, guys. You really only need to know stuff out to maybe 12 hex. Anything, in the 10 range. You're only going to be adding maybe 2 in 99% of your ASL tournaments or ASL scenarios. So, 5 hex is about here. 9 hex is about right here. We're probably going to be adding 2. Here's 1. So we're going to add 2. Irrelevant. Right? Those are going to be out of lines of sight. That's all you need to know. I don't need a line of sight thread. I need to know one line of the line of sight rules to understand that this location here is going to be out of line of sight. That's it. It's as simple as that, right? Gullies, stuff like that, those add maybe another line or 2 of sentence. You have to, the same concept applies. So it's just a visualization. I know a lot of people can't visualize things well, but I mean, if you can't visualize it well, you don't really need to, right? Understand that this is a 1-level obstacle. It has a 1-level blind hex. I mean, hell, you could just have a. Let me get a helper aid. So with our lines of sight, that becomes a blind hex. And that becomes a blind hex. Right? If that's up to 9, it's most likely adds 2 blind hexes. So, but this may also be a blind hex to that unit. What's the distance? Oops. Don't really need that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 adds a blind. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 adds another blind. And it's to the obstacle, not to the hex. So it's 2 blind from there. This is the normal blind. 1, 2 blinds. Assuming it hits that. So that unit over there can't see either of those units. Now the unit over here possibly can see that, but doubtful. Because it looks like the line of sight goes directly over that same obstacle. So that's what we're looking at there. And so completely blinds the sight. Don't again, you are better off, getting rid of that line of sight hint on the ASL thread, on the Vassal thread. You should learn them. It's just simply part of the game, like MF, firepower, breakdown numbers. It's just a simple part of the game. And the other thing that I have issues with the lines of sight thread, it's hard to calculate that stuff all the time. I mean, it's not easy for them to program that stuff in there, and therefore it might lead to some conclusions that are inaccurate. And because you don't know the rules, you won't know if it's wrong or not. Lots of guys will post stuff on lines of sight going to a bridge hex. Well, it defines the bridge hex because it's not, if you were to look at the actual depiction, it determines the bridge hex to be at -1 level because there's a gully or a stream or something under it. That's a lower level. That's why it's blind. And so people don't understand the LOS rules. And when that comes up, they don't understand why it's blocked. Well, if you understood the basics of the line of sight rule, that problem goes out the window. So therefore, it's nothing. It's a non-issue for most of your ASLers that understand the basics of lines of sight. it's a non-issue. So I'm not saying that it's all the lines of sight are easy, but board 3, this has been around for 400 years. So any discrepancies, this is a basic board, are pretty simple, right? All the trees level 1. You don't have varying levels of trees. You know, some are interior dense, while the other ones aren't, etc., etc. And so you just don't have the same issues as you have elsewhere. So enough of that bullshit. Let's go ahead and move units since we know it's blind. We're just going to move them all. We're going to go bypass here for 1, 2, 3, 4, bypass 5 on that hex side right there, and 6, 7 to that location. All right, now I can stack them up a little bit. I don't really like the half axes. Oh, you know what? We could just move them over here. That'd be fine. Again, all these guys are concealed because they were not in lines of sight of anybody. Right? No lines of sight from that location, anything. So he's deconcealed, so he's going to be U1. Again, U1 gives the partisan nothing in terms of fire capability next turn. We could technically run right up to him on U1. Might be a potential thing. The Italians can possibly get up here in concealment. So could they do that? Absolutely. It might be a possibility, but those guys are there. These guys, maybe not so lucky. Let's see what they're going to do. They may just have to... we're just going to double time each. Actually, we need a double time CX for that. Let me go grab a double time marker. All right, grabbed a set of these. He's going to double time. I'm not going to bother stack. I mean, I could stack it with this. Really not that big a deal. He's going to bypass Z1 around those hex sides for 1. That hex is in line of sight to these guys up here on the hill. So he's going to lose. He didn't have concealment. If he had concealment, he would lose it. And then he was going to go 2. Because if he went to Y2, it'd be 2 more movement factors. 3. At that point, he's now in line of sight to the medium machine gun. Should he fire there or should he not fire there? We got 2 guys going. We've got a stack of units here. Is he a high priority target? Maybe, maybe not. I think I'm going to leave it for the LMGs and possibly the leader. So that's my handling with that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And since he hasn't fired on us, we're not going to move into V1. We're going to continue moving 5. Because again, we're straight down the road. Now we have a hedgerow from both of these units here. That's now within a line of sight of this unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Outside of normal range of the LMG. That would be a 2 firepower. Even, no, 2 firepower even, right? No -1 for moving the open, and this +1 negates first fire movement. Not a great shot. I think we're going to leave him go there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are going to go ahead. We're going to push the envelope and go 6 here. Oh, that's a clear line of sight from that unit over there, as you could tell. Again, knowing your lines of sight. Where's the midpoint between these locations here? Where's the midpoint? This is a brainless shot here, people. You guys should know exactly where the midpoint of this line of sight is here to determine whether that's a clean shot or not. Sometimes it's close. This one's not close by any stretch of the imagination. Let's draw a thin line. It's here. Right there. That's our midpoint. Okay. And how do I know that? You go up 2, down 2, because of basic geometry, up 2, down 2 from those 2. And in between the 2 is that location right here. So that I know that that line of sight is going to bisect that location. Now, question is the line of sight from this location here clear to that location there? Well, it's by far clean, by a large margin. So lines of sight like that should be second nature to your game. Just like looking straight down a row, this should be looking straight down a row. That should be clear as a bell. Matter of fact, that might have been a better place for the LMG, right? Because that's, guess what? 5 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could have left a 1 residual firepower there. That probably would have been a better shot. Much better shot. So anyway, at that point, again, if this unit fires, what's the firepower? It's going to be 1. Is it going to leave any residual firepower? Nope. So I just lost the possibility of this unit or this unit leaving any residual firepower. Now, the medium machine gun could fire there. It's going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it hits S3, it will create another additional blind hex. So that is tricky. If you want to see that line of sight from there to there, in my opinion, it's going to clip S3. So that's a good spot for the partisan to get to. So I think it's 6 for him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's done. He's done moving anyway. So after all movement, if we don't fire anything, we could take one of these pot shots. Okay. Again, he might stack guys up. This guy's going to double time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's just going to go 5. And this one's going to go 4. And he's going to go 6 here. So all these guys are those guys have double timed. And now we go on to the next units. Let's see. He's only going to be able to see essentially advanced phase, shot. Let's double time this unit over here. He's going to go 1, bypass 2, bypass 3, bypass 4, 5, and end here for 6. 4, 5 could be a clear. And at 6, actually at 6, we're going to take a shot with this medium machine gun if it's 10 hexes. It's 11 hexes. We're going to take a shot. We're going to try and take that shot anyway. So, line of sight tool right there. Line them up. Got my little thread. Put it here. To there. Clears a bell. Clears a bell. Unfortunately, it's 11 hexes. So that's going to be a 2 with the leadership modifier because you don't want it to cower. That's going to be a 2 minus 3. Let's get our first dice roll of the game. Shake them up first. Shake them, shake them, shake them. We rolled an 8, so that would have cowered normally, but it doesn't in our case. So that's going to be a 5 on the 2 chart, which will be a normal morale check. 5 on the 2. Oop. Over here. Normal morale check. And so he'll take his 7 morale. Shake, shake, shake. Rolls a 4, piece cake. So, but that loss rate of fire, that will leave residual. Let me go grab a residual firepower marker. All right, so it's going to leave 1 residual there because 1 is half of 2. The firepower shot on it, and those guys are first fired up on the hill. And these fires I could reduce. I'm going to reduce these right now. Just a bulk scale down. So don't need to clutter everything up. That's the entire purpose of the larger hexes. So the only other thing we have to worry about is the other medium machine gun. Again, his concealment's lost, so I'm just going to pile that over here. Other units moving. Again, that's free residual firepower, free attack. The other unit will double time as well. He'll take a similar path. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bypass W8 for 5, and then end up in V8 for 6. And that's it for those guys. No fire on those guys. Again, we've the medium machine gun, whether we fire here Units aren't going to go beyond the hill if they go up and over the hill, so therefore these guys are priority targets because they're already getting near good cover. So these units, do we move them as a whole stack? Can we safely move them as a stack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can go to W4 double timing. That might be a possibility. Because we know 10 hexes is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The other medium machine gun can only fire to that row. So we're only going to be exposed to fire from this guy down here up to that location. And that's about it in the medium machine gun up on the hill. Or up on the dang it, what the hell is that? The tower. So what can we do? Where do you guys suggest? Again, I was thinking about power running through the middle. 3, 4, 5, 6 in advance. That might be problematic because I think this guy's got a line of sight to here. That's close. I think I'm going to make him fire on that because we could always go back to V3. This isn't the best place for routing purposes. It looks like it's safe, but it's complete crap. Never get stuck in these buildings. If you do, entrench in W3 or somewhere else. It's very difficult to route from these locations. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six. Nope, out of range. All right, let's just double time one unit. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. We're certainly going to bypass here for 4. And we'll end up here for 6. Doubt that I'm going to fire again. I really want to pick that leader off. 8-0 leader, best target. These guys will probably, I don't really need to move them together. 3, 4. You know what? We're going to leave them concealed. And we're just going to move them one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. This guy it's going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the leader's going to follow behind. Concealed. All right. We do free LOS checks from here and here. It's going to be blocked. Again, that leaves us to be able to be concealed as we move up into W4, which isn't the greatest terrain. And then the next turn, we could actually move into V3 for 2 as a stack, and then move through the village at that point. All right. Hopefully the Italians will not react to that and be done. No other residual firepower. Let's look at this from the Italian side now. All right. Swap the fire. Easy shots first. Does this guy have a shot anywhere? We've probably got a 1+2. I'm not taking a 1+2 with. There's almost no point. Plus we got a concealment. Do we have a line of sight to this guy? Doubtful. Again, where's it going to bisect? 1, 2. Actually, 1, 1. It's going to bisect right here, T6 and T7. This is pushing out a little bit more than I want it to. So therefore, I'm not going to take the shot. It's probably blocked. So he can probably look over here or down some of these other sides. So don't really need to lose my concealment at this point. So he's no-go. He's a no-go. Looks like the medium in the building is the only one's a shot. So it's going to be a 4 firepower. Let's take the 4 even shot on this unit here. That's a straight shot down the row, 4 even. If we get ready to fire and he breaks, we'll fire at the other unit. But I know this was, no, I know this is a clear shot. 4 even. All right, that'll count as a 6. 6 and the 4 is a normal morale check. Piece of cake. And he rolls a 3. I think that's the Italian sniper. Yep, the Italian sniper is a 3. So let's roll what that sniper check is. And a 5, no effect. Interesting. Okay, so he's good. And I lost rate of fire, so that's that. I'm not going to bother marking him. He's the only one to fire. Advanced fire. The partisans aren't going to have any advanced fire shots. Their firepower is 3/4 in the best of situations. Let's switch the sides. Swap the sides. No advanced fire. Route phase, none. Advanced phase. See, we get fire shot there. We might need to stack these guys here just in case they move together. We're going to stack both these. Actually, that guy's going to be a line of sight to this guy over here. We're going to stack that. And individual fire is going to be nothing. So if the Italians decide to move to this building, which is a possibility, it's going to be a 2+4 shot. They could legit practically just charge these Italians. Given that the case, we're probably going to move an LMG up here. He's going to lose his concealment because these guys are in line of sight. This LMG and the leader are going to move there. Again, we don't necessarily want to lose an LMG, but maybe to protect these guys' flank, that might be a thing to do. S7 would be a blind hex. So, but it might protect these units from getting swarmed by these Italians. Otherwise, I could just literally just walk right up to them and vanquish them and then possibly do some sort of harassing on the side. So we're going to get rid of that there. These other units, those guys have advanced. These guys have advanced. We're obviously going here and here. He's moving here. Let's keep them engaged. If he keeps firing his medium machine gun on us, it will break eventually. So if we give him targets, that's one more chance of 11 be rolled. Again, we don't have strong firepower here. All of our firepower is 2+1. This is not a 12 chart on anybody. But if he wants to charge this unit over here and engage us, well, we have close combat capabilities later on. So, and it's unlikely that a 6+2 is going to do anything against us. All right. So that is the end of the, we're going to gain concealment gains. I'm not going to bother to attempt this guy. Nothing. He's not going to attempt just because that might be a line of sight. That's as close as you're going to get. These guys are already concealed. This guy will attempt concealment gain because it's obviously he's out of line of sight. Yeah, he's going to attempt concealment gain because if he loses it due to a line of sight over here, which I think there is one, then this unit might decide to fire instead of move closer. So we're going to attempt a concealment gain from that unit. Let me move them. Let me move it off a little bit. We knew it's going to bisect here, but it does clip T4 just a little bit. All right, good deal. So we get the roll. It's not guaranteed. A deuce plus the unit size number of 3 makes it a 5, so he will gain concealment. That was a benefit. So learned a couple things there. Now he may have to move, and the best thing about that is if he does move, we're still concealed in the open ground. So even if he does want to charge us and attack this guy in open ground, no modifiers, it's going to be halved. So it's going to be a 2 even shot at best. This unit here, cleared line of sight to the guys up on the hill. Not going to gain it. Of course, both these guys are in line of sight to the Italians over here. This leader is concealed. I will give him a separate concealment anyway. Where'd the other one go? There it is. Just for the heck of it. Just because most of the time he will not be moving with these units. So, and they're all counter-exhausted. All right. So end of Italian turn 1, heading on, or ready to partisan turn 1, heading on to Italian turn 1. Again, time is the partisan's enemy. He could probably outfight some of the Italians, but time is still his enemy. He still has, again, that's why these guys come on behind. Otherwise, the Italians just line up, entrench, and be done with it. All right, let's go on to Italiano turn uno. All right, so here we are heading into Italian turn 1. Again, I'm not going to bother with the wind change unless you want to see the dice roll. That's exciting. No wind. If you have hurricanes, it's not going to affect anything. Actions that the Italian player is looking for at this point, he sees, obviously, in the back, you pretty much just have, we're just going to be entrenching, maybe make 2 squad foxholes, or maybe getting out of these foxholes and moving into adjacent locations to creating further entrenchments, perhaps one on the peak of Hill 547 here. But most likely I'll send this unit over here, and this unit can probably just entrench in his present location simply because that seems to be a really behind the lines location. And but you never know. Again, two-edged sword. If I put 2 squads in there and the partisans happen to obtain that position, is that a real problem? Well, if my artillery piece is here, right, and if this is the 2 squad foxhole and there are 2 partisans in there, yeah, but the hit is still going to be an 8 because it's point blank, and the critical hit's still going to be a 3. So I'm going to hit them pretty easily and be able to vanquish them pretty hopefully just as fast. So is that a problem here? Nah. Anything beyond 6 hexes, it would be a problem. That's why I don't want to put a foxhole up in this area here, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that is 6 hexes. So technically, I guess I could have just hit there and acquired that position with I guess you can't acquire it unless a fire area target type. But you know, that's the point to make, is any foxholes outside the 6x range is going to be much more difficult to hit. And F3 is pretty much within 6 hexes of everything he's going to be shooting at. So maybe that's a mistake, maybe not. I'm going to be retreating from the hill anyway. He's not going to have anything in range. Once he reaches this point in the village, time to leave. You know, if not, maybe a little bit before then. And to see how far he can get up the hill. So, again, basis of the Italian defense. Maybe put 2 squads here, maybe entrench here to get point-blank shots. Probably not here. Again, you're still talking weak Italian firepower that might be in this general vicinity. If that's a 6+3, do the partisans really care about that? And the answer would be no. 6+3 shot, even an 8+3 if there were another full squad here for the Italians, which would almost be half their force, is still not a problem. It's still not a problem for the partisans. They engage in close combat, and then you're done. So, primary things the Italians are going to do, again, we're going to set up just some general more entrenchments up on the hill. These guys will probably vacate, or the 3-4-6 will vacate and move up on this position here, or up to here. Again, keep the range. Keep the range from the enemy. So, is there a difference between those 2 locations? This one's probably pretty key if the partisans want to obtain this building here. So if not, we still have line of sight to L2, L1. They're not going to have any firepower generating from those 2 locations. So those are free attacks. Can't see anything over here anyway. We could actually see this location here, but that's a +2, and it's out of range. So a couple pot shots here, and that's about it. All right. So that's the plan there. Maybe get those guys moving. Obviously, move to occupy the tank. Move to occupy the gun. And let's kind of do that first, obviously. I don't really think we have... Well, the machine guns are going to have prep fire. Let's remove this final fire marker. We'll just put it over here for now. And a residual firepower. We'll just stack them over here. All right, so let's go ahead. Nothing rally for the Italians. Let's go directly into prep fire phase. Again, what are we worried about? LMGs are primary concern because they actually have a potential for rate of fire. And when you look at the squads, you know, if you've got a 337, its firepower by itself is effectively 2 and a range of 3. So which is more damaging, a 2.6 LMG or a 337 squad that has a range of 3? This has got double the range with full firepower and could fire up to 12 hexes with a rate of fire. LMGs are a priority. So that's our basis of fact there. I think that medium machine gun was at 11 hexes again from here to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's a bit far. It's still a 2-1. I still think we're going to take that because it is a great shot. These guys are blind to this location here. Why is he blind? Again, knowing your base, this is the direct shot straight down the row to that location. The S3 building will generate a blind hex regardless. And then do we have extra blind hexes beyond that? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to 9 will generate an extra blind hex. So that will be an extra blind hex to the 8-1. This is obviously a blind hex here. And that will create another blind hex. Okay? So those guys are out of the line of sight. Not going to worry about that. Do we really care? No, because he can't fire on us anyway. So can we fire on this unit over here? Unlikely. Most likely we'll hit this woods. Again, same distance to here will create another blind hex. Okay? This unit here is in a line of sight. A potential for a rate of fire shot. And I think he's within 10 hexes. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, now you could argue if I fire on this guy, then the 8-1 over here can fire full firepower up there. And I think that might be our pick. Why might that be our pick? Because if these guys break, or if he breaks, he's not going to rally for a couple turns. That might completely free up these units just to occupy stone buildings. And just delay them. 3 squads is about half the Italian force. This is over half the Italian force right here. Do we want to commit them all? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, if these guys need to retreat or defend the medium machine gun, these guys need to, there's really no squads back here. And even the medium over here. So you really don't have a lot of squads back here. And you're going to have 3 squads coming on pretty soon. So we can't just leave these guys here and die in place because the guys in the back that are reinforcements are coming on are going to vanquish your units on the hill. 1-2 is easy to deal with. That means you need a 6 for morale check. And if they cower, which is going to eliminate 3 of the cowering results straight off the board. Because you cower in a 1 chart, it's gone. So that might be the plan for the Italians right now. Probably break him, minimize this, maybe send 1 guy back, keep 2 guys there, and then try and blast some guys coming into the village. So we'll take maybe move to R5, catch some guys on open ground. R5 level 1 can see T2, still has a stone building or stone wall. Can see this location here, but again, not really effective. It's a +2 shot. Essentially, he's a wooden building. That's what these guys' responsibilities are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nobody's going to move to T2 because now we're going to leave residual firepower. They're all going to move through these buildings here. So if we can get to those, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's probably a line of sight. And then 5, 6, I think we can stifle their move and force them to come this way. All right, let's prep some shots and then go from there. Let's try our 8-1, 4 even shot on the counter exhausted unit up top. Let me see. So we're going to, oop, not there. So that's our shot. Pretty sure it's 10 hex range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, 4 even. And an 11 will malfunction the weapon. That's wonderful. Again, this is what the Parsons want. The more the Italian shoots, the more he can malfunction his weapons. Now let's fire the other medium machine gun up on top of the hill. That will be a 4-1. And that's a 6, no rate of fire. 5 on the 4 chart is a 1 morale check. And he rolls a 5, rolled a 4 and a 1. So he's good. No rate of fire. Prep these units. All right. Prep these units in the back. Let's go ahead and attempt to entrench here. Oh, snake eyes. We got it. And, ooh, that is a possible... What is the sniper for? It's a 3. So we don't have to worry about that. So that is entrench, a positive entrenchment capability. What's the range to that? I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So he'll lose his concealment. But that's okay. It's a level 2 entrenchment. Who else can entrench? I'm going to go ahead and entrench here as well. 7, nothing. We need a labor counter. I'll find a labor counter in just a second. All right, so it took about 5 minutes. Created this labor marker right there. Let's see, I could zoom in about right there, and then I could zoom in there. Nice little labor marker. Not square, something circular, something you could find easily. This unit over here on the side. Should he labor as well? No, I think he's gonna move. He's gonna move up on the hill. These guys are gonna move up on the hill. So I think we're good to go there. So those guys are gonna move. These guys are prep fired over here. Those guys are not going to prep fire. Let's go to movement phase. Let's go in the back here first. Inconsequential, kind of. Again, the bad guy is going to come down here on the bottom, set up over here, and enter through these hex sides. So the best spot for me to go... Let's go ahead and just move this guy up. Technically, I guess he doesn't need to be set up in the foxhole. So, just a 1... I don't want to lose my concealment from these guys. As long as I'm over 17 hexes, I'm good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. He might have line of sight to... Oh, is that 17 here? Hold on. That's 17 there. I don't think he loses concealment. Looking at your concealment terrain chart, greater than or equal to 17, not in concealment terrain. If it becomes broken, reduced, berserk, wounded, is attacked, yada yada. No loss of concealment there. I think these guys will when they're moving up the hill though. So it's going to be a 1-3. And should we move further? No, I think that's okay. I don't really need... this might be in line of sight there. That might be a good spot to really deter him from coming this direction. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go there. That way we have a line of fire on all of these locations. This is a pretty close one. In that case, same train of thought. We're going to move this unit here. Next. 2, 3. Oh, we need to get up there, don't we? 4, 5. He's going to CX. That's at 17 hexes. That location doesn't lose concealment. Actually, this is a concealment loss over here, because that's within 16. And he's going late CX. 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll just advance there later. Not a problem. Where's my CX counter? There it is. I should make these circular as well. All right, these guys are going to go Just 2, 4. This guy's just going to double time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, it's going to be harder to recover that. I don't really care. If I roll a 5, I roll a 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 4, yeah. Not going to make a difference. And that's it for their movement. Units down in the village. Let's see, what do we got? 136. Our medium machine gun just malfunctioned on this side here, giving him a potential opportunity. I think we're going to send the 136 up on the hill to entrench. We're going to bypass 1, 2, 3, 4. And most likely lose concealment here. Don't really care. Actually, that's actually a nice spot up on top of the hill for any units in the back within 16 hexes will lose concealment. Another of these units, let's see, where's he going to move? 1, 2, 3, 4. No ones. We're gonna fire at least one shot with 8 firepower. Hopefully break something. He's got to break something. These guys, I think we'll definitely move to engage these guys. I think we're going to ignore these dudes. He can stay here or at least shift over. He can definitely shift here, fire a snapshot on this hex side if necessary. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be outside of range. That's going to be 0. Excuse me. So, I think we can see that location there. Outside of range. 2, 4. Yeah, we're gonna go we'd like to keep our concealment, but we'd like to get on the first level as well. We could fire lane. No, it's not going to make a difference. Fire lane that way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's stop him from going there. Yeah, let's try it. Let's just go assault move here. He'll keep a concealment. These guys are going to assault move over here. And 3, 4, 6. Yeah, we're going to take a chance. Oh, we can't do a snapshot. Create a fire lane. That will be a 1+1. That's open. That's not 1, 2, 3. That's open to this guy. All right, we still have line of sight over here, so we're good. We're going to go here. LMG's just going to go there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's within normal range up on the hill. That'd be a 4, 1, 7, 0. I think we should need a 7, 0 to move with the LMG. LMG is more important. Not the best. Don't really want to move him around too much. Nobody's going to move here. That's it for Italian movements. Go with partisan defensive fire. So here we are, partisan defensive fire. Really not a lot of guys in line of sight. And stone buildings are not going to make a difference with a +1 CX. There's really nothing to look at here. The only real shot I would be tempted to take is versus a let's see, a non-concealed unit in that woods in P1 from this unit down here. I would take a 1+1 shot on that. But this will be no effect. It's not even a shot there. So they really have no shots to take. Again, I really don't think, I mean, these are all, I can't combine fire groups. So nothing to see here, people. So we're going to go to the advanced fire phase. So the can we make a shot over here that's going to be a 1-up-1 with sniper bait? Not going to do it. Not worth the potential for a sniper shot. Oh, that's why the 136 is there. Yeah, I think we may just park it under here. The 136 up here is still good for sniper bait. I really don't see any advanced fire shots. Maybe here to there, one even. Yeah, see, we're going to string this LOS now, and we're going to take that shot. Let's go zoom in there. There we go. That's what we're looking for. All right, let's check that line of sight. Center's about right here. It's about right there. Let me reduce the size of the thingy. That will disappear soon. All right. Oh, it totally blocks. All right, so we get the roll. No 3. Rolls an 8. All right, good deal. No effect there. At least we know we don't have a line of fire coming back. So he's done there. Nothing up on the hill. He's got nothing to do. These guys got nothing to do. Preps are gone. Oops. All right, preps are gone. Stack them over here. And then I'll just stack these right there. And then we have route. Nobody's broken. Advance. I'm going to advance this guy back here. And advance him up on the hill. And these guys here. Let's see. We can't see that location there. We can, if we go up, 2, 3, 4. Does it do anything if we go up? Actually, it allows him to come down under us, so we're good to go there. We are 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're piece of cake. LMG. He can only go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then advance. 2, 3, 4, advance. So if they get stuck out in the open, we could actually move to engage them. So we're going to put these guys here. He's going to stay on level 1. The 7-0 will actually move with this unit, because if this unit's going to be taking a shot, I don't want these guys to cower. These guys are in 2 different locations. The leader's not going to be doing any good in terms of minimizing their cowering capabilities. So there's no point in moving him in there. So also this gives me a 4 close combat value in case the 337 should happen to come over here for some reason. We'd have a 1-to-1 against him. He'd have a 1-to-2 against us. If both of them get there, then he'd have a 3-to-2. So we're eliminating the 2-to-1 possibility. He's only going to stay here for maybe a turn or 2 tops, because he's got lots of guys coming that he's charging. He may just charge them anyway. Maybe next turn we're gone and we're just retreating. Just to here, slow him up. We're probably going to get cut off here again. Not the greatest ability. I just want 1 shot, and then I should be out. Because this guy's just going to go bypass 1, 2, 3, advance. And then at that point, you're stuck in the woods, to be honest with you. These guys may need to come this way. So, yeah. So given that, this guy's actually going to advance here. And he's going to stay on first level. Huh. Interesting. I think if we have line of sight to S3, we can actually do a fire lane that way. Yeah, we could actually do a fire lane right there. Interesting. I think it's a waste of time. It's a 1+3, 1+2. But we may just develop a little fire lane just for that sort of thing. So, all right. Interesting. So that's it. I think these guys are done advancing. Maybe I can, and I can do any good. It's not gonna do any good. Yep. That's it. This is a malfunction. Should we just move this? So we just simply start backing up. 4, 5, 6. That's a 1-3 over here. He'll stay there for 1 turn and then back up, repairing the machine gun. All right. So it's advance. Close combat, none. Partisan. Third 2. Right. So preps are gone. That's labor's good. Oop, this is not labor. This labor's on this guy. My bad. And let's check out what the partisans are going to do. Well, there's turn 1. Again, I spent a lot of time in the beginning in the preparation, the analysis, maybe the reanalysis, rehashing. Maybe you guys forgot where the other video was. Hopefully it wasn't too duplicated for you. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it's all centralized. The other turns will be about maybe an hour-long videos. So, again, let me know what you guys think. Somewhat of my actions so far, different things the Italians could possibly set up, and you'll see how the scenario will progress. Where I anticipated the partisans to be at a certain time, we'll see if that's the case or not, and just see how the game develops. It's actually during the game. Again, I'm on turn 4 or 5, starting turn 5, and there have been some twists and turns and curves, which I didn't anticipate. Which essentially every single game turn, there's some sort of monkey wrench being thrown into the mix. So stuff that you don't anticipate as a squad leader, but stuff that you have to just to say, okay, that happens. Now what can I do? What can I do about that happening, instead of just crying and complaining about what happened? My tank just exploded spontaneously. Okay, I can't defend that flank. Should I defend it now? Do I need to move units over there? Do I not need to move units over there? Simple as that. It's every single game of ASL. Expect the unexpected, and you'll be doing fine. You'll keep your level head and go straight forward. You'll see some pauses, some longer pauses about where I am. It's like that, pretty much that tells you that, I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place. What the hell do I do now? So I'm kind of thinking about it while actually verbalizing it. So hopefully I'll try to verbalize that more in the future. But there's things to think about. So when you hear those pauses, or hear or accentuate the pauses, notice them, then start thinking yourself. It's like, oh, he's thinking about what he can do. What do I think he's going to do? What conclusion do I think I can make out of it? Kind of make a game out of it, right? Okay, prep fire phase coming up. What are some of the key spots that I would fire? Where does Stu fire? What happens when this fires? What type of combat is going on over here, and why? Not just that it happens, but why? You know, lots of situations where you might want to engage in close combat. Not the best thing in this particular scenario for the partisans. Probably the best thing in this scenario for the Italians. As strange as that may seem. Given that you think that might be the case, what's the likelihood of you getting ambushed? That kind of jumped on me as a surprise. Once I cracked out the modifier on the ambush chart, I was surprised on how easy the Italians can be ambushed. So take that with what you're looking at. At that point, maybe the Italians want to engage in close combat, not in ambush terrain, but maybe in open ground. Maybe set myself up to be in open ground. So things to consider in your game. Is that easy? Nope. Not easy to do. If it was easy, everyone would be playing this game. And you know how bad those games would be. So take it easy, and we'll catch you next time. Now, go play some ASL.